Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. I hope y'all are doing really well. Today I am going to be in the world of Brindleton Bay creating hobbit holes for you all. I'm so excited to share this build with you all. It's probably one of the most creative times that I've had doing a speed build, and even just building any time in The Sims period. It allowed me to play a lot with the terrain and raising it and lowering it, as well as painting and all of that stuff, creating builds underground. It was a lot of new for me at once, but I think it turned out really well, and I think it's extremely cute. Lord of the Rings is one of my absolute favorite book series. It really means a lot to me, and so when I got the idea to do hobbit holes, I was really excited to give it a shot. Obviously, it's not perfect, but I think for The Sims, it's almost as good as you can get. If you've made hobbit holes in the past, or you have a video where people make hobbit homes, please link it below so I can watch it. I purposely did not watch any leading up to this so that I wouldn't be influenced and I could really put my own spin on it. But if you have one that you like, please share it with me now, because now I'm open to it. But anyway, yeah, just trying to put a roof on these hobbit holes. So the premise for this build, I did make this lot off the grid. So these hobbit holes, they do not have lights or any electrical appliances. They're very much just self-sufficient. I've got so many candles when we get down in there, but anyway, so you're gonna see me do a lot of stuff with that. One hobbit hole is going to be for Frodo and one is for Sam. The one on the left that I'm putting the grass on top of the roof right now is for Frodo, and then the one on the right is going to be for Sam. After they've come back from all of their little adventures, they're settling down. This is where they're going to live, and it's so cute. I had so much fun like thinking about them in my head while I was decorating kitchens and putting together like little studies. We'll get to that in a minute. I'm getting ahead of myself, but it just turns out really, really cute. So the way that I had to end up putting these hobbit holes together. So unfortunately you cannot raise the terrain over the top of a wall. You have to do it around it, which would have been nice if I could have just completely buried them in the side of the hill. Then of course it would have looked awesome and I could have painted it really well. But since we can't do that, I decided to raise it up as high as I could without it looking weird on the side of the two hobbit holes, kind of flatten it out a little bit, and then I put that sort of like straw thatchy roof on top and flattened it out as much as I could. And still give it that sort of like humped, like hill sort of look to it. And then I just absolutely covered it in bushes and flowers to try to make it look like it's completely buried in the hillside. Now, whether I accomplished that is up for interpretation, but either way, it turns out really cute, so I call it a win-win. Most of this video is going to be me doing the exterior, so buckle up if you, if you like that stuff. But anyway, just trying to figure out how to make these look like they're completely embedded in the hillside. You're seeing me put some grass in on the sides of this. I do get rid of that because I decided to extend the roof to where you couldn't see sort of around the edges anyhow, but it was my idea to try to make it look like it's very much covered in grass. It's very much submersed in nature, like the hobbits are supposed to be. So that's kind of that's my decision making process in this. But I decided to use those base game round bushes as sort of a way to kind of dome up the top a little bit rather than just putting flat grass, because as you saw probably before, I was really focusing on trying to layer the grass and try to make it look good that way, but it just really wasn't working. So I had to go with those bushes, and I end up kind of piling them up a little bit in a weird way. So what I end up doing is I end up putting those bushes, I start in the middle and I put the larger ones in the middle and then put smaller ones around it to kind of give that doming effect. Again, whether that works is up for interpretation, but I tried. So you're going to see me put a lot of these bushes around. I also used some of those flowers that came from Jungle Adventure as sort of like filler. So you're going to see me size them up and kind of put them around the edges because I was having so much trouble placing those bushes because they kept trying to clip to the bottom level even when I had tabbed up to the top. It was a big nightmare. So you're happy that I cut out most of that, believe me. But yeah, just filling in with some flowers. I put in some of those pansies around the edge to try to hide the edge of the roof. I didn't want you to be able to tell that there was a roof there. I wanted it very much to look just like, hillside. But yeah, I am going in a little bit with the terrain raiser to try to put a few more hills in this world. I didn't want it to just be two mounds in the middle of nothing. I mean, obviously this lot does not blend in with the rest of Brindleton Bay. I picked the one lot that I could take screenshots with that weren't going to show like the highway and like cars and things like that. So I mean, I did the best I could. I probably would have done better in a world like, Granite Falls that came with Outdoor Retreat. I really would have it would have done well to put that there, but I do not have that pack, unfortunately. Maybe when I do get packs like that, I will probably do more like fantasy whimsical builds like this, because like I said, I had so much fun doing this. So much fun. I looked up and I was like, oh my God, it's been 3 hours. And I'm like, I hadn't even noticed. Like the time had gone by so quickly. But yeah, just finishing up putting those flowers in to try to act as filler so you can't really see that it leads to the ground. And putting those yellow pansies in to hide their roof line. And that is pretty much going to be it for the roofs of these Hobbit houses. Now, I don't know if you noticed, but there's me getting rid of all that ivy. I put it in there to try to kind of hide the brown, because you cannot paint terrain that has been raised or lowered. It has to stay like soil colored, which is really frustrating. I would have loved to have had it be really green and pretty, but so I decided to try to cover it in ivy, and it really just wasn't working. You all probably know this if you have vampires, but when you place the ivy, it's really just like a sheet. It doesn't conform to anything. It's very just straight up and down, and it looks really funny if you're looking at it from a certain angle. So I decided to nix that and just go with other things, but just leave that brown. But anyway, you're gonna see me put in some wildflowers and really start to kind of bring to life the outside of these Hobbit holes. I went crazy with these flowers. It was really good. It was really nice to not be like feel too constricted, I guess, to try to make the flowers match each other. I really just picked ones I liked and just went in there and put them wherever I wanted just to fill it with flowers. Because if you're going to make a Hobbit hole, there is no way that you can't go crazy with flowers. But yeah, put in a little fence and a gate. I didn't realize that the fences go up and over the terrain when you raise it. That's so cute. I think that's so adorable. I love how that looks. But yeah, putting in a few rocks on the sides to kind of frame the lot. And I was going to try to put some windows on these Hobbit holes, but it just wasn't working out with the slanted or with the diagonal walls that I put in. So I did decide to put some ivy on to cover it. I really wish we had round doors in The Sims, but unfortunately we don't, so I went with those old-fashioned ones with the knockers and the hinges. I thought it looked really sweet. I mean, it's close. It's got a round top, so that's half of it's there. But yeah, putting in a few trees and a few things to really just, like I said, go crazy and make this look like the greenest, most lush garden world you can imagine. But yeah, anyway, like I said, I'm just gonna gush over these because I love Lord of the Rings. I love Hobbits. This was so much fun. Let me know in the comments if you want me to do maybe more Hobbit holes later when I have different packs. Are there any packs that you think would work, extremely well with Hobbit holes? Let me know. I want to talk about Lord of the Rings, so put it down below. But you did see me flatten out some of that terrain right there. I decided to give Sam a little garden because why not? It's so cute. And I put those pumpkins in from the debug menu that came with spooky stuff to make him have little pumpkins. And then I was going through the rest of the debug menu to see if there was anything else in there that I could try to turn into, something that sort of looked like a crop. But I went with those ferns. Maybe could be the tops of carrots. And then I went with a few other, I think it's like an aloe plant, maybe is what I can't remember, but it looks like that to kind of be like cabbage. And then I put a few more pumpkins in on the other side over there. I think it just looks really cute. I've never made like a garden that included pumpkins before in The Sims. It's so cute. And then putting in a little bit of shadow right there. Now, I think I mentioned this at the beginning of the video, but I did make this lot an off-the-grid lot. So I've got a lot of candles when we do go underground to, make it look really cozy. But because it is off the grid, I do put a clothesline in as well as a wash bucket, just in case, I thought it was really cute. I do put it on that side for right now, but I do realize later that it's floating because the terrain is uneven. So you will see me move it. I don't remember if I do it right now or if I do it later, but put in that cute little birdhouse and just a few more clutter items. You're going to see me come back up even when we start going underground and start doing the actual Hobbit houses and furnishing their little Hobbit holes and everything like that. You're gonna keep seeing me come back up to the top because I keep finding things that are just gonna look nice outside and I just have to place them before I forget. But yeah, you're gonna see me put the ivy on the outside of Sam's hut over here, and then I do end up putting one of those drapey plants that came with Jungle Adventure that has the actual floral blooms on it. It's not just like a fern, to kind of hide that one piece of roof right there that you're seeing that's darker than the others. There we go. And I do that on both of the Hobbit houses. But I really like the way that those hanging plants look, and just filling in a couple more areas. And that's pretty much, I do put some trees around to, like I said, to kind of make it look like it's immersed in the world and that it's very lush and very green. As we know, Frodo's house, or Bag End, grows, Bag End is underneath the very large tree in Lord of the Rings. So I originally sized up one of the oak trees, and I think I ended up having to size it down because it was just so massive and I couldn't see any of the like details that I'd put into it. So, but I sized down a large oak tree and then put a couple of hawthorn trees, I believe, around the edges. I think it looks really good, very lush, very green. I'm all for it. Put a couple of bushes by that bench, and then I believe we're going to start heading inside. So I put this paneling. I imagine that these two sort of like small rooms that you need to head down into the basement of the Hobbit holes, I imagine that they're sort of like sitting areas. I furnished them last, so we'll get back to that, but I didn't want you to think that I was just going to leave it blank. We're going to go down into Bag End, or Frodo/Bilbo's Hobbit hole first. We're going to start with this area in the corner. So both of these Hobbit holes have the exact same floor plan. They have a kitchen, a bedroom, and then sort of a great room that has like a living area, a study area. I did not put a bathroom in any of these because it's off the grid, and it felt weird to imagine hobbits going to the bathroom. I don't know. Sorry. This voiceover, God help me. But anyway, so I did put some of those like off the grid, like bathroom bushes, I guess, that we got with Jungle Adventure. So don't worry, I did think about it. Unfortunately, I did think about it. Anyway, going into the kitchen for Bag End, I really kind of struggled initially trying to think about what are some of the things that a hobbit has in their kitchen. We see Bilbo's kitchen in The Lord of the Rings when he is entertaining Gandalf and when Frodo is entertaining Gandalf also. So I kind of did my best. I went with the dark woods, gave him a little fireplace with a little cauldron over it where you can make some soup, and a little wood burning stove just in case, and then a little table to the side where you can prepare your meals, sort of like in place of counters, if that makes sense. I know your sim can't use it in place of counters, but that's kind of what I was thinking. And I went into the debug menu and found a lot of these little like apothecary jars. I don't know exactly what's in them. I didn't read the description, but I thought they looked really cool. I thought maybe there could be some like spices or, things that Bilbo is preparing or using to prepare his meals. I thought it was really cute. And then I've used that table on the side to put like fresh fruit. We only have like fruit bowls as far as like fresh fruit goes that would actually fit in with this Hobbit world that I'm creating. So I kept it kind of to a minimum. Are there any packs that have debug like objects that are like more realistic food, like loose, like bananas or things like that? If you know, let me know in the comments, because I might have to put that on my list of packs to get once once I have the money. But putting another little pumpkin up on the shelf up there in a cute little basket, and then I also put a couple of lamps around. So when I did go and play test this build, those candles did not work, unfortunately. Those candles and the little like oil lamps that I just put on the counter up there, I don't know why. Is there any like reasoning behind why those don't work? I just assumed they would, since it's, they're candles. They don't require electricity. But anyhow, I ended up having to switch them out for some other candles, which you'll see in a minute. But I put a couple of like those old-fashioned chimneys on the top. I thought that looked really sweet, because I do know that in the films they did make a point to put chimneys on top and have smoke coming out of them of the Hobbit hole. So I wanted to include that. I've included the fireplace where Gandalf famously throws the ring into the fire for Frodo, and it reveals the lettering on the outside of it. I kept it pretty messy in Bilbo's Hobbit hole because, as we know, Bilbo has like a bunch of books and a bunch of letters and things like that he's researching and writing his book and all of that. So I wanted to make it feel like Bilbo and then Frodo are very obviously into books. So I put a lot of bookshelves in here, a lot of random book clutter. I had a saying in my head. I was like, when in doubt, just give the hobbits another candle or give them another stack of books and it'll be great. So you're going to see me decorate a lot with that here in a few minutes, but just putting a few candles around and about so I can actually see what I'm doing. Goodness me. It was harder than it looks to try to figure out ways to put candles in here. And I also put those chandeliers in the upper like welcome areas of these hobbit holes, but they also weren't working when I came to play test it. Does that require electricity? I just assumed since they were candles that it wouldn't matter, but I mean, neither here or there. I'm just curious. Do you all have any, like, is there like a set filter that you can use to like get off the grid items? Let me know in the comments. I've got a lot of things that you all need to let me know in the comments, so bear with me. But I've moved on to Bilbo's famous desk, where he spends most of his time writing and where Frodo also spends his time writing. So I wanted to give them a very big desk, cute little stool to sit on, and I also included that like books. It's like a spell book stand from vampires, but I imagine that it's the stand that Bilbo and Frodo used to write both The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but if you know in the movie, especially at the end scene, Frodo is writing from a stand. And so I thought that worked out really perfectly. I thought that was a nice little item to use, even though it does have like an anatomical heart drawing on it. But anyway, it works for this. It works for this. So yeah, I put in a little quill and a lot of those little like books, those little book clutter items that we've got, and I put a couple of pots and pans on his stove for him. And those leather-bound books are so gorgeous. I usually don't use them because they really rarely work with like modern homes and things like that, but I decided to just put them everywhere. And I really wanted to use that library cart that I just got from Get to Work. Unfortunately, I couldn't get it to cover up enough to where it would really fit, but the spine work on those books is beautiful. It really looks old and it would really fit, but like I said, that really didn't end up working out, but that's okay. And then just putting a little rug under Bilbo's desk for him. And then I'm going to go around and put some more artwork in. Now, Bilbo has a lot of pictures of his family in his home, so I wanted to include a lot of the photos or pictures that we got from vampires, just because, I mean, you could imagine that they're his ancestors and all of that. So I thought that was a really nice touch. And then I gave Bilbo the coziest bed, in my opinion, that we have in The Sims, that little like red specialty bed. I don't know what you have to do to unlock it, but anyhow, I gave him that, and really just a plain bedroom. I just gave him a dresser and a mirror. I don't figure he spends much time in there anyhow, so I didn't spend too much time trying to figure it out. I think I do give him another shelf in there with some more books on it. And that's pretty much where I leave it. So I think that's pretty much the end of Bilbo's Hobbit hole. Like I said, I think it turns out really sweet. I think I give him a rug in there, and I also found that letter clutter item, so you're going to see me place that absolutely everywhere, because if we know anything about Bilbo, we know that he likes to write letters. So yeah, just making it look really sweet. I found that pumpkin item that we got with Seasons, maybe? You're going to see me place that a few times around on this build, but heading up to the welcome area for the last part of Bilbo's Hobbit hole, just put a couple of chairs in there and leave it at that. I also found this trunk item, which of course I had to put downstairs. I was like, I'm going to make room for this, because as we know, at least in the film, I can't exactly remember in the book, but in the film, that's where Bilbo hides the ring from Frodo for all of those years. So I had to put that in there just for my own sake. But I was going to put a couple of those little poofs up here to kind of sit on, but I decided to go with those wooden chairs instead. And I just put a little dresser side table up here and a lemonade pitcher. I imagined Bilbo sitting here talking with Gandalf, just catching up, sitting up there in that little seating area. I don't know why. It's not in the books. It's not in the movies. It just was in my head. So I decided to put that in there. And now you're going to see me move on to Sam's house. Now, Sam's house is extremely similar to Bilbo and Frodo's. The only real difference is kind of the sort of like decoration style I used. As you can see, I used sort of like a pale blue like wallpaper in there. I imagine that once Sam came back from his adventure, you know, of course he marries Rosie, and I just imagined Rosie was better at keeping house and decorating, so it's a little bit less cluttered, a little bit less crazy than Bilbo and Frodo's Hobbit hole. But anyhow, I did decide to spend a lot more time decorating, not really decorating, but just cluttering up the kitchen in here, because like we know, Sam is a gardener, Sam loves to cook. Those are the two things you need to know about Sam. So I did spend a lot of time giving him fruit, and I placed a lot of that pumpkin clutter item that I placed up by the garden, just like he's harvested all these things, he's ready to cook up something really nice. I also gave Sam 2 cauldrons, one in the fireplace and one sitting on the stove, and of course I gave him his pots and pans. I think I do that a little bit later, but yeah, I love Sam. He's wonderful. I should have spent more time. I should have just done Sam's. I could have spent so much time making his super cute. But anyhow, yeah, just putting in a few lights. Now, those candles right there that I'm placing on the fireplace, those are the only candles that I could get to work in the off the grid. So I end up having to go through and replace every single candle with those. And I actually end up sizing them down in some areas because, of course, they are really large, but the flames that flicker, they stay put, so they're like rising above the candle a little bit. It looks kind of funny, but then again, I don't really mind it, so I didn't bother moving it. But instead of those large comfy chairs, I do put those wooden chairs that I used for Bilbo's sitting room down in Sam's living room, and I use them in that sort of like blue swatch on the cushion part. I thought it matched really sweet, and I also gave Sam a blue rug to match the rest of the decor. And instead of putting pictures of family members up and around Sam's Hobbit hole, I do end up putting pictures of like landscapes and sort of how Like, I imagine that Sam is very proud of what he's done. He's proud of the trip that he's gone on, and he maybe wants to remember it, or, you know, wants to remember Hobbiton and the places he's been. So I decided to put a bunch of pictures of landscapes up in Sam's house, and I think it looks really sweet. I'm really pleased with it. I also decided to give Sam a flower arranging table since he loves to garden so much. I thought that would be a nice way to fill in this point where I just had a bunch of bookshelves for Bilbo. I decided to give Sam something a little bit different. Went crazy on putting the little potted plants around and about, but I think it just looks really cute. Giving him a few more kitchen clutter items, those herbs and that cutting board, and also putting in that hat rack up at the top. I thought that looked really sweet, and I gave him a little flower wreath there. I just thought it was really nice to give something like that for Sam. But then here I am giving him his own little desk to sit at. I do not put as many books and things like that around for Sam. I just imagine he uses it just for, you know, every now and again he might write something, but it's nothing like, you know, nothing he's obsessed with, nothing that he's writing necessarily. But yeah, just putting a few more clutter items around and about. I really love that quill. I have never used that quill before. I've never really had a reason, so I was really happy to be able to use that finally. Put that open book item that I think we got with, not this new update, but the update before last. Console's one behind, so it's my new update. And then I was going to put another bookshelf in that corner, but I decided against it. I didn't think it really matched, and I couldn't find one that fit, so I do give one of those comfy chairs just a little nook to sit and read, and a little candle on the little stool. And that's pretty much it for the sitting area kitchen room of Sam's house. So yeah, just putting a few little bits of artwork on the walls, and then you're going to see me move on to Sam's bedroom. Now, for Sam's bedroom, I gave him not the exact same bed that I gave Bilbo, but I gave him one that's in white and blue swatch that I thought would match everything. The little stool with the candle on it, and again, just the same dresser and the same mirror. So that's going to be pretty much it for Sam's bedroom. I don't think I give him too much clutter. I think what I do in his room is I pretty much cover his walls in, like I said, pictures from his travels. I've got one of the desert, one of the mountains, like where they go over the mountains heading to wherever Galadriel lives. It's escaping me. I apologize. But anyway, that's what I imagine for that. And then I'm going to go up to do the little sitting room up here. I do pretty much the exact same chairs that I did for Bilbo's, and the same little dresser and the lemonade pitcher, I believe. Yes. Up here. Sam uses it the same way that Frodo and Bilbo does, just as a little place to entertain, little place to talk to guests. But you're gonna see me put these little signs. I think they're protest signs actually, because they're from City Living, but I thought they were extremely cute. So I thought they could mark the crops a little bit, I guess. And then there you're seeing me put those bushes in, and then I was gonna put a sink down in Sam's, like just to give them some sort of sink, but I ended up not doing it. So if I do decide to play this, I'm going to have to, you know, do a little work and do a little bit more of rearranging. But I didn't think it really fit do hobbits have sinks? I guess they do. I don't know. But anyway, you're seeing me put a few plants around and about just as a little finishing touch. I decided to move that bench back a little bit. You're going to see me flatten the terrain a little bit and get it where it's supposed to be. But other than that, that's pretty much it for this build. So I really thank you all so much for watching. I really hope you all enjoyed this. I really enjoyed making it for you. So leave any comments that you have, and I'll talk to you all soon. Bye, guys.